Welcome to the first video of our Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Crypto series. In this series, we're going to break down the most important aspects of crypto for beginners. And if you haven't seen the intro video yet, I recommend checking that out for more context on what we'll be covering throughout this series. But for now, I want to emphasize why we're starting with one of the most fundamental topics, which is Bitcoin.
The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Crypto.
Bitcoin isn't just another digital currency, it's an entirely new form of money. To understand its true value, we first need to grasp the basic concept of money itself and why Bitcoin is so revolutionary. In this video, we'll walk you through the origins of money, how Bitcoin fits into the picture, and why it's one of the most important assets in the world today. Now, I could spend hours explaining this, but there are so many experts out there who have already done a fantastic job of explaining Bitcoin, and I've grinded through countless hours of these explanations and selected some key clips from well-known voices in the space that you maybe know, so you don't have to go searching for them yourself. Before we dive in, let's tackle an important question. What is money? To understand Bitcoin, we first need to understand what money really is. So let's take a look at what Mr. Saylor and Mr. Mollers have to say about that.
Now, let me go back to the question of what is money. Fundamentally, people think currency is money, but really the academic definition of what is money is medium of exchange, a unit of account, a store of value. What is it really? Well, money is just, the most tradable good, the most durable, tradable element or unit of something that we can trade for something else of value.
I like to think of money as our time and our energy in an abstracted form. What I mean by that is you do this podcast, in exchange for that, you get money. I run Strike, in exchange for that, you get money. You mow a lawn, you fix a windshield, you drive a car for someone else, you get money. So money is the market good that captures our collective contributions to society. It's intended to capture our time and energy so that that time and energy can either be saved or be traded, right? You can't go to the restaurant after this podcast and say, hey guys, I just recorded a podcast, I'll take 2 steaks. They'll be like, what? I don't want that. That's what we call barter, right? To solve for barter and scale the economy and allow us to hyper specialize on something like a podcast. Like a podcast isn't a tradable market good for dinner, for gas, for groceries, but it is for money. And so money is that market good, again, for abstracted time and energy. Now, if I were to store my time and energy in wheat, for example, let's go through that mental exercise. So I work all day on whatever I'm doing, and in return, I get wheat. Well, how good is that money, is wheat being the money, at persisting and saving through time? Well, it's very bad because it's going to go bad and moldy and stale. And so that wheat is going to be worth 0 in about a week, right? Everyone has moldy bread. And then how good is that money in exchange? Can I send that wheat to Europe on my phone, right? And so thinking of money as how to capture your time and energy is a very powerful idea, as opposed to like a piece of paper or as opposed to something that your government, whatever, tells you to use.
To quickly recap what we've learned about money so far. It's a medium of exchange. Money is something we use to facilitate transactions. It's a store of value. It holds value over time, allowing us to save and plan for the future. Basically, it's a representation of our time and energy. It's a unit of account. It provides a standard measure to compare the value of goods and services. It's scarce. A good form of money is limited in supply, ensuring its value remains stable. It's portable. It should be easy to transfer and use in different places. It's durable. It needs to last over time and not deteriorate easily. Now that we understand the fundamentals of money, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created in 2008 by the mysterious figure Satoshi Nakamoto, who released the Bitcoin white paper and disappeared, leaving behind a revolutionary monetary system that operates without central authority. His vision for Bitcoin was to create a decentralized peer-to-peer network that could challenge traditional forms of money. And since then, Bitcoin has evolved into one of the most important assets in the world. But how does Bitcoin stack up against traditional forms of money like cash or gold? Why is Bitcoin considered a revolutionary asset? Well, in the next part, we'll dive into what makes Bitcoin unique and how it addresses the limitations of traditional money.
What does Bitcoin do? It's simple. It lets you send and receive value to and from anyone in the world using nothing more than a computer and an internet connection. Now, why is it revolutionary? Because unlike every other tool for sending money over the internet, it works without the need to trust a middleman. The lack of any corporation in between means that Bitcoin is the world's first public digital payments infrastructure. And by public, I simply mean available to all and not owned by any single entity. Now, we have public infrastructure for information, for websites, for email. It's called the internet. But the only public payments infrastructure that we have is cash, as in paper money. And it only works in face-to-face transactions. Before Bitcoin, if you wanted to pay someone remotely over the phone or the internet, then you could not use public infrastructure. You would rely on a private bank to open their books and add a ledger entry that debits you and credits the person you're paying. And if you both don't use the same bank, well, then there'll be multiple banks and multiple ledger entries in between. With Bitcoin, the ledger is the public blockchain, and anyone can add an entry to that ledger, transferring their Bitcoins to someone else. And anyone, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, gender, sex, or creditworthiness, can for absolutely no cost create a Bitcoin address in order to receive payments digitally. Bitcoin is the world's first globally accessible public money.
Now that we've walked through what Bitcoin is, let's cross-check Bitcoin against the key criteria of money that we previously discussed. Medium of exchange. Bitcoin can be used to exchange goods and services, although yes, adoption is still growing and you can't use it for your daily life that easily. Unit of account. While Bitcoin isn't yet a global standard for pricing goods, it is used as a unit of value in the crypto space already. Portability. One of the key aspects, Bitcoin can be transferred instantly across borders, making it highly portable unlike any traditional money or gold. Durability. Being digital, Bitcoin doesn't degrade and its underlying blockchain is secured by the network. Scarcity. Bitcoin is capped at 21 million coins and this limit is non-negotiable. The supply will never exceed this predetermined amount, making it a truly finite asset. The conditions governing this scarcity are ingrained in the decentralized network, making any changes close to impossible. Thanks to this, it makes Bitcoin one of the safest digital assets you can hold. But now let's focus on a critical point where Bitcoin is often questioned, namely store of value. Some people don't believe Bitcoin is a reliable store of value. So what does store of value really mean? Historically, humans have attached value to things like paper money or gold. I mean, think about it. Paper money is technically just a piece of paper, but we give it value because we trust in the system behind it. Gold is essentially a golden rock with some chemical properties, but over time, humans decided that it was valuable. And in the same way, Bitcoin has given value because of its scarcity, decentralized nature, and increasing adoption. While Bitcoin can be volatile in the short term, it has proven to be the best performing asset class over the past 10 years. Its long-term trend shows consistent growth, which is why so many consider it a valuable store of wealth. And this brings us to an important question. Why choose Bitcoin over gold or fiat currencies? Let's take a look at what some others say about this.
The reason that Bitcoin is magical is because there's only 21 million. I can create more real estate in New York City. I can create more cars. I can create more luxury watches. I can create more gold. I can create more shares of stock. I can create more bonds. I can create any commodity. They're commodities by definition. Given enough money and time, I can create infinite of any of them. Bitcoin is a scarcity. Okay, name another scarcity in the world, right? And technically, it's not clear there is another scarcity, right? A scarcity is something of which it is absolutely capped. If the price goes up by a factor of 1,000 or 1,000,000, it is absolutely capped. That is not the case with gold, soybeans, silver, stock, bonds, real estate, single-family homes, ships, planes, trains, nothing else. Everything else could be manufactured.
Throughout history, we've seen civilizations collapse under the weight of poor monetary policies, rampant inflation, and unsustainable debt. The Roman Empire, the Weimar Republic, and even modern examples like Venezuela serve as a stark reminder of what happens when governments lose control over their currency. Today, many believe we are on the brink of a similar global reckoning, but there is hope, and that hope is Bitcoin.
Yeah, listen, I like the global debt to GDP is my favorite metric, because what it tells you, so money is our time and energy in an abstracted form. For a government to take out debt or borrow, money is about borrowing our time and energy. So I think government debt is the closest thing we've ever seen to time travel, because you're borrowing the collective populace time and energy from the future. How do you time travel? Well, we haven't figured that out yet, but how do you get close? Is you borrow human time and energy from the future. And so by looking at global debt, you can see how much time and energy from the human population and its future have been borrowed. And then if you look at the growth, which is what that metric tells us, is how is that time and energy they're borrowing being invested in their ability to pay that back. And with global debt to GDP at over 300%, it means they've borrowed a lot of our future and a lot of our time and energy with no way to pay it back. And what everyone's realizing is that loss has to be realized. So there is a loss. Governments have borrowed our time and energy, in my opinion, arguably maliciously so, without permission, and they don't know how to pay it back. And so I think everyone, including Larry Fink now even, is looking around the room like, who's realizing that loss? Whose time and energy is going towards paying that back? And Bitcoin is arguably the first exit door we've ever had accessible to us all. It's a casting vote to say, I don't know the answer, but it's not going to be my time and energy. And I think everyone's speculation is currency debasement is the way out for government, is you can steal the time and energy of everyone alive today, everyone holding US dollars, by printing more of them. And you can fill that hole. You can realize that loss by printing, right? And I think Bitcoin is the best expression of currency debasement. So if you want to protect yourself, you buy Bitcoin. If you want a put option on the bond market, you buy Bitcoin. If you want to be long volatility, if you want to be long chaos, if you want to monetize this problem, if you want to monetize and make money and benefit from the issues government has caused, Bitcoin is that. And I think everyone between Larry Fink to President Bukele to Dorsey to Saylor to now potentially Trump, right? That's what I think is happening, is that so I love that global debt to GDP.
To you,
metric.
to I, to Danny, to everyone.
Right. It's the first time there's ever been an alternative financial system, an alternative money that we all have access to. You know, traditionally, you think of gold, you think of real estate as ways to capture and store your time and energy. Why? Because gold is a collection of chemicals that's close to what you want out of a money, because government can't print it, right? It's hard to create more of it. It's not perfect, but it's close. Real estate, in theory, the theory behind real estate is you can't print any more land. Does that mean you can't print any more real estate? Unfortunately not. They're going to build a building in Manhattan that's 10,000 stories high, right? But these things are close. And Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the first man-made money. We didn't make gold. We didn't make land. Depends on how religious you are and stuff, but right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
We made Bitcoin from scratch to solve this specific problem.
Bitcoin represents more than just a digital currency. It's a response to the flaws of the traditional money systems. With its finite supply of 21 million coins, Bitcoin stands in direct opposition to the infinite money printing we've seen from central banks around the world. As political instability rises, as the bond markets falter, and as the inflation erodes the value of our savings, Bitcoin becomes our safe haven, an asset that holds value because it's based on scarcity and decentralized consensus. And many important institutions and players are seeing this, from institutional acceptance with the rise of Bitcoin ETFs to growing political relevance as prominent figures acknowledge its importance Countries like El Salvador have adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, and entire financial ecosystems are being built on top of Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin is not perfect and it does face some challenges, particularly in terms of scalability and its viability as a day-to-day payment system. While there are technologies like the Lightning Network trying to help address these kind of issues, Bitcoin's transaction speed is nowhere where it needs to be compared to other emerging technologies. Additionally, Bitcoin has faced and will continue to face political pushback and government regulation. Governments worried about losing control over monetary policy could introduce legislation that attempts to hinder Bitcoin's growth. But despite these hurdles, Bitcoin remains the OG, the pioneer of the entire cryptocurrency revolution. It paved the path for blockchain technology, which has since evolved to create new use cases in industries like finance, supply chain management, gaming, or even art. Look, until about a year ago, I didn't even own Bitcoin myself either. But after spending time really understanding not only how Bitcoin works, but especially how our current money system works, I started to see the value. I want to protect my future, the future of my family, and not rely on governments that can freeze assets or spend recklessly. And Bitcoin offers that kind of protection. And it's not too late, and it's certainly not too expensive to get involved now. There's a saying, everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And I believe that's true. Bitcoin will continue to change the world no matter what, and the innovations it sparked are only just the beginning. In the next video, we'll take a broader look at the world of crypto and explore what other cryptocurrencies are doing to build on top of Bitcoin's foundation. But if you're wondering how to buy Bitcoin and safely store it, don't worry, we'll cover that in one of our next videos of this series. For now, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so you don't miss any updates of this beginner series moving forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
The ultimate beginner's guide to crypto. 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 The ultimate beginner.